By the way, it's Supergirl. See? Supergirl.
That's what happens when you touch my stuff.
A Kryptonian girl with blonde hair and a bad attitude. She moved so fast that Lois didn't even know it hit her.
A Kryptonian attacked Lois?
Yeah, right before she came after me. Chloe, not only is she as strong as I am, she can fly.
Whoa. Sounds like we got ourselves a true blue Supergirl.
Kara, Krypton is gone.
What do you mean gone?
It exploded. You and I are the only survivors.
Planets don't just explode, Kral. Guess the humans are right, Kral. Girls do mature faster than boys.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Krypton's Last Daughter, a Supergirl podcast. This is episode 3 of the show. I'm Andrew Pinkham.
And I am the super podcaster, Danny Sapp.
How's it going, Danny?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. What's been going on?
Not much, man. Just been reading some comics tonight and reading some reviews for the 2 books we're talking about tonight, and been catching up on some Batman and stuff like that. So it's been a comic book reading night.
Awesome. Now, you went to the comic book store yesterday. You did not pick up Superboy 14, correct?
That's correct. I was going to, and then while I was at the store, you kind of texted me and told me Supergirl's on in the book, and I texted back saying WTF.
Yeah.
So based on that, I haven't picked it up. I mean, I'll probably just get it digitally, I guess, just so we can at least talk about the Hell on Earth storyline for the Supergirl Podcast that's coming out not this Monday, the Monday after. But no, I haven't picked it up yet, so I haven't read the story yet.
Well, it's a decent story. I guess we'll get into that when we talk about the new 52 Supergirl. But just some things going on in my life. It's been pretty crazy for me. Since last time we recorded KLD, my sister got engaged during that time frame. So just want to throw out a big congratulations to her and her fiance. He's a pretty cool guy. So I suppose that she can marry him if she chooses to, I suppose.
Well, it's good that she has your blessing going forward. I mean, I don't think it really matters to her, but it's good.
Oh, goodness. Plus, I have some, actually, I've got some more personal news, not really personal, but more like business side news as far as, not really my job. I do graphic design work on the side, and I actually have an opportunity to be doing some logo design for some people, so that's kind of exciting, and I actually get paid for that, so that's pretty cool coming down hopefully I'll get the job and get that income flowing a little bit. So, but that's really what's been going on with me. Really haven't had much chance to buy much comics except for digital. Smallville hasn't been coming out, so that's kind of been disappointing. I don't know what's going on with that title. I don't know if they're just concentrating on the print issues right now and not releasing the digital, or what's going on with Smallville, but I'm looking forward to when Smallville does start releasing again. So
yeah, for sure. But
you say you've been reading this new Death in the Family for Batman. How has it been?
It's been fantastic. I mean, I went to the comic book store yesterday, and I have a subscription there, and I picked up Batman and Batgirl 14, and no, it's been a fantastic book. I mean, the way Scott Snyder has been writing the Joker in this series, I think, has been fantastic. He's so menacing and he's so evil, but he's just so charismatic about it too at the same time, and he's really given the Joker a good life, and so far the new 52, I think. So no, it's been a great read, and I wasn't planning on getting, next month, and obviously seeing these crossover events, especially with the Batman, because it has so many books in the family. I wasn't planning on getting all of them because there's so many. You have the Suicide Squad, you got Batman, Batgirl, Batman and Robin, Detective Comics, and so forth and so forth. So I wasn't planning on getting all of them. I was just going to get Batman and Batgirl too. I pretty much just read. However, after reading these 2 books right now, I probably will end up, they probably pretty much suckered me into buying all the the crossover event issues now coming out next month.
Dang you, DC Comics.
Indeed. And damn you, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
Mm-hmm.
It's all their fault.
Well, I'm actually really looking forward to Scott Snyder coming on the Superman title. For Scott Snyder to be doing both Superman and Batman is really exciting. I'm really anxious to see what he does with the character of Superman. So,
well, speaking of that, actually, there was a mention. I know last time we talked about on the KLD podcast, I think it was the Supergirl's Finest. I can't remember which one it was, but when we did mention it, I was under the impression that it was going to basically be just they were going to carry over from the current Superman series that's going on right now with Skull Abdel and Rocafort, I think it is. However, I did a little more digging tonight and found out it's actually going to be a completely new series now that they're going to be relaunching. So it's not actually going to be carrying over from the current series of Superman. It's going to be a completely new series. So it's going to be like I guess you could say a third Superman book. So you have action, you have Superman now. It's going to be a third one. I don't know the title yet. That hasn't been announced. But no, it's definitely going to be very, very exciting. I've read some press releases for it and some interviews that Scott Snyder did for it, and it sounds really exciting. So I'm really looking forward to it. For sure.
Well, speaking of Superman news, I guess we can go ahead and hop into the news portion of the show. Earth 1 Part 2 came out. Now, I haven't got a chance to read either Part 1 or Part 2. Have you read either one of those?
I have read Part 1. I do have Part 1, and Part 1 is pretty good. I did like it. When I was at the comic book store yesterday, I was tempted to purchase the number 2, but instead I went with the Harley Quinn statue, unfortunately.
You and Harley Quinn, man, I swear.
Yes, I know. She's my kryptonite, her and Supergirl. But so I went with the Harley Quinn statue instead. But I will get around to purchasing, like I said, the second edition of that series. But the first one was really, really great. It's been a while since I read it, but I do remember it was really good, and I did like it. So that's all I remember.
Very good. I also wanted to mention, and now this is huge news for me as a Superman fan. Back a few years ago, are you familiar much with the Death and Return of Superman storyline, Danny?
I am not, no. I don't think so.
You are not. Well, they came out with a huge omnibus. I want to say 700 something pages. And they just rolled in with the Death and Return of Superman. They cut a lot of stuff out from. Normally, when they do trade paperbacks, they incorporate everything. Well, when they did this first omnibus, they didn't. They cut a lot out. And I heard via the Superman homepage, and really, I heard about this on From Crisis to Crisis, a Superman podcast. It's one of the only Superman podcasts I follow besides the New 52 Adventures and the Golden Age Superman podcast. But coming out on March 13th, they are re-releasing the Death and Return of Superman. This volume is going to be $100. Over 1,000 pages of comic, dude.
Holy moly.
Yeah, this book is going to be massive. I am so excited for this book to come out.
So you're saying the Death and Return of Superman, is that when Superman died at the hands of Doomsday? Is that that series, or is that something else?
Oh, that is correct.
Okay, then yes, I know that story.
Death, Funeral for a Friend, and The Return will all be rolled into one. Every single issue in that series will be in one volume, over 1,000 pages. I am stoked about this.
I think I'll buy that.
I will be buying it. I will pre-order it on Amazon if I have to. So,
very nice. No, that sounds pretty cool. Actually, that looks really, really interesting. Definitely.
But besides that, I don't have much news unless you have anything.
No, the only thing I just want to add was regarding podcasting is that at the same time this is coming out right now on Monday. I think, I don't know what day this is coming out on the 19th. Also, the Supergirl's Might episode, I think 5 is coming out as well too, which concentrates on the Peter David series of Supergirl. So if you're interested in Peter David's series of Supergirl, which to be honest with you, is probably one of the best Supergirl series of the Supergirl history. So if you like that series, or if you want to learn more about it, definitely check out Supergirl's Might, and where I talk all about it, review the editions, talk about it, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. So definitely check it out, guys. Just want to plug that.
Now, that you were recently covering Peter David before I even joined forces with you. It's been a long time since you've covered Peter David. You must be looking forward to getting back into Peter David, huh?
Like you wouldn't believe. I mean, with everything that's been kind of going on in the past 5-6 months, I mean, like I said, personally, with all my home renovations and moving and things like that, and just with all the different shows we've been coming out with, and I think this is kind of problem sometimes when you're coming up with so many different shows, sometimes some miss through the cracks or what have you, and with having you coming onto the caresall.com website and things like that, just it kind of got all on the sort of the back burner a little bit, unfortunately, but I really want to bring it back in a strong force, because like I said, it is, I mean, to a lot of people, this is what turned Supergirl on to them, and this is what really attracted Supergirl to them, and a lot of people really recognize the series and love this series that Peter David did from 1995, so that's why I really want to bring it back full force. Like I said, I'm going to definitely is an episode out right now. I'm going to try and make it, so I'm definitely going to be monthly for sure. I'm going to see if I can make it bi-weekly if possible, but monthly for sure. So definitely check out your iTunes feeds, guys, and not to check out the website too for all the updates on that. But it's definitely coming back in full force for sure. So stay tuned for that.
Very good. Well, I think that's going to do it for this first segment. We're going to take a break, play a promo, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you all about Action Comics number 254. Stay tuned, everybody.
Gathered together from the far reaches of the internet are assembled a network of podcasts dedicated to the first and greatest superhero, Superman. The Superman Podcast Network is dedicated to covering all aspects of the Superman legend, featuring
The Thrilling Adventures of Superman,
Golden Age Superman,
the Superman Fan Podcast,
Superman in the Bronze Age,
From Crisis to Crisis, a Superman podcast,
The New 52 Adventures of Superman.
I've got a few things to say about Superman.
The Carousel Podcast,
the Superman Vidcast,
the world's best podcast,
and
Radio KL from SupermanHomepage.com.
Join hosts
Michael Bradley,
John Wilson,
Billy Hogan,
Charlie Niemeyer,
J. David Weeder,
Jeffrey Taylor,
Michael Bailey, Scott Gardner,
Danny Sapp,
Cayman Stoll.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Adam.
Steve Eunice, and co-host Scotty V.
at SupermanPodcastNetwork.com.
And welcome back, everybody. We're covering Action Comics number 254. The credits on this is as such. Otto Binder is the writer, Jim Mooney is the penciler and inker, and Mort Weisinger is the editor. The cover date on this one was July of 1959. The synopsis for this issue is such. The issue opens up with Supergirl secretly saving a botched rocket launch. After she finishes, Superman's cousin returns to her guise of Linda Lee. Once more, a couple come to ask to adopt a child, leaving Linda to once more try and avoid being adopted. She is introduced to Mr. and Mrs. Dale, who, in spite of her best efforts to convince them otherwise, adopt Linda. Linda soon learns that they are a pair of shysters who have a fraudulent sideshow where they have fake props to make people unable to lift weights, but to make Linda appear super strong. The irony that Linda really does have superpowers is not lost on her. The whole performance is a trick to get people to buy a powder elixir that grants superhuman strength. This, however, is simply just sugar water with ginger flavoring. Decided that she will play no part in exploiting people's gullibility, Linda decides to secretly ruin the Dale's operation as Supergirl. The next day, Linda lifts up an elephant in front of the Dales, telling them that she drank the elixir and it worked. Mr. Dale is shocked when he drinks the elixir as well. He seemingly gains super strength, when in reality it's Supergirl secretly using her powers to give the illusion that Dale had gained super strength. When Dale rushed to a chemist to have more of the elixir made, Supergirl flies ahead and uses super ventriloquism and a lifelike marionette to trick the Dales into giving all the money they swindled from the people for a batch of real elixir. To their shock and dismay, they find that they've been duped. Supergirl then secretly returns the money to their rightful owners. With the Dales bankrupt, they aren't financially stable enough to support an adoptive child, and Linda is returned to the orphanage. And that's where our issue ends. So what'd you think about this one, buddy?
Super ventriloquism. How'd you pronounce it again? Ventriloquism.
Super ventriloquism.
Yes, and there was also another mention of super memory as well, too, I think, in this book, right?
Super memory, yeah, I suppose there was.
So apparently, this is what I love about the Silver Age. You can put the word super in front of anything, and it just sounds so much more awesome. I loved it. I'm drinking super coffee as we speak. I'm looking at my super computer right now. I mean, come on. It's so corny. I love it. And, for this story, it wasn't as good, I think, as the previous book that we reviewed last time. That was 253, but it still had its merits. I just didn't find it as kind of endearing and kind of sweethearted as that one was. But this one was still okay. It just didn't have much. It just didn't have as much emotion to it. It was just basically Supergirl kind of conning two con artists is all it really was, and that's most of the story in the 7-page issue, basically. Where obviously, 253 had a lot more heart to it, a lot more emotion. So I don't know, it was okay, it was fine, and it made me laugh a couple times. So at least it made me laugh. I was happy about that. But no, it was okay. And once again, I love how Supergirl, saves the day from rockets and a con artist and stuff like that, but she doesn't do it for recognition or to get in the media or for money or for whatever the case may be. She does it just for herself and for doing the right thing. So once again, I love that part about this story. I love that part about this Silver Age Supergirl a lot, personally. So what about you? What'd you think?
I really still continue to love these Silver Age stories. I haven't read a lot of them, but they're just still just a pant load of fun to read. I really just enjoy them. Really, Jim Mooney's art is still very, very good in these Silver Age issues. I've been still very impressed with this whole style of being still continuously a lot like Al Plastino, and I'm assuming that will continue as far as Jim Mooney is on the book, which pretty much runs all the way up into the, I think, late 60s. So we are in for a treat once we get into that era. But, this story was just a lot of fun for me to read. It really reminded me of what Superman's humble beginnings were back in the late 30s as a circus strongman. We see this in Linda. Not necessarily in a costume guise as Supergirl, but we actually get to see it just reminded me a lot of that. So, but I really love it. I really like this issue a lot. It was just a lot of fun to read.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And, I'm just going to echo what I said last episode regarding the Silver Age, is that I love these stories because they're kind of corny, they're kind of campy, and whatever else you want to say. But they're not obviously as, violent. They're not as maybe as complicated as today's stories are, for example. These are more wholesome, they're more innocent, and what I really notice about the Silver Age is how much I really rely on narration to tell the story as well, too. And they really, when you pick up a comic book, I think of the Silver Age, you don't really have to think very much when you think about it, right? You basically you read the story, you go through it, everything's kind of described for you exactly about what's going on. You don't have to sit there and thinking, okay, why is she doing this? Or when is she afraid somebody's going to see her, going after that rocket? Where the narrator already told you, it's so high up they won't reach her, or nobody will see her, or something like that, So I've kind of really noticed a lot about that just in the few books I've read so for the Silver Age. I really rely a lot on narration and a lot of text just to sort of really, you don't have to do much thinking regarding the story. So, like I said, it's geared a lot, I think, at that time toward a lot of children and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, but I really like it. It's very wholesome, very sweet, very innocent. I mean, compared to today's comics, obviously. So, but no, I liked it. It was a good story. Like I said, not as good as the last one, but it was still pretty good. I liked it. Definitely.
When this book when I first opened this book, I really liked the fact that we get to see Supergirl super feats right at the beginning. I liked her rescuing the boat and the rocket ship as well. I think it's cool that we get to see Supergirl being Supergirl and out there, even though people can't see her. I just like that a lot. And this issue was just a pantload of fun. I like the fact that she's conning the con artists. I think that's great. And with the whole lifting the elephant and using her heat vision to melt the bars. I mean, you would think he would grasp one of those bars and just his hands would burn, but it's a Silver Age and kind of campy, so a little ridiculous. And talk about super ridiculous. What's the super ventriloquism?
I'd love to see that superpower.
But no, I mean, that's awesome. Not a bad story. Sure, it's campy, but it's just good, plain, clean fun. So,
you also noticed too. I'm just kind of flipping the pages. I find too that when Linda's kind of thinking about something, or when she's pondering something, or when she's trying to tell something, in a way she's kind of telling. She's telling it to the reader. And there was even one panel, for example, where she's actually looking at the reader and winking. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny how the way it is kind of orchestrated or kind of organized, how it's like everything's set up for the reader for them, to understand and to read, and I thought that was pretty cool. It's different. Definitely different. But, no, it was a good, I mean, there's not much else we can really say about the story. It's only 7 pages long, but, there were these comic books weren't very long in the Silver Age, but no, it was a good story. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, we have to remember, these stories are all backups. And at this time, Action Comics is still an anthology title. So, obviously these Silver Age stories aren't going to be very long unless they're actually part of the main Superman story, which I don't think we get for quite some time. So
that's true. You're absolutely about that.
But I think that's going to do it for us for this review. We're going to, unless you have anything else, Danny.
No, I pretty much said everything I wanted to say, and no, I mean, I'm enjoying reading the Silver Age books, and look forward to the next one for sure.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Danny's going to tell you all about Superman Batman number 10. Stay tuned, everybody.
You are cordially invited to attend a podcast that observes the unfolding events of history. Come with me and observe the birth and growth of a legend. From the pages of a 10-cent pulp comic book to the newspapers, radio program adventures, theatrical films, and more. Witness the dawn of the superhero. Golden Age Superman. Available on iTunes and at goldenagesuperman.libsyn.com. Every legend has a beginning.
Welcome back, everybody. So this book is Superman Batman number 10. The credits are as follows. Jeff Loeb is the writer. Michael Turner is a penciler and inker. Peter Steigerwald is a colorist. Richard Starkings is a letterer. Tom Palmer Jr. and Eddie Berganza are the editors. Cover date is July 2004. On Themyscira, Superman and Batman are observing Kara and Artemis train in a match overseen by Wonder Woman. Superman is still upset over how Kara had been brought to the island. Even though it had been weeks, but Batman still views the plan he and Wonder Woman formed as necessary. As the match heats up, Artemis sweeps Kara from under her feet, and Pierces to deliver a killing blow when Superman charges forward and grabs her by the neck. One woman throws her lasso around Superman's neck, asking if he's lost his mind, as the sword would have shattered on impact. Superman explains that he's been patient long enough and has taken Kara home. One woman points out that home is one of long since died. Kara speaks up and says that she should have a say in where she lives. Diana dismisses Kara and the other Amazons while she talks with Superman and Batman. But Kara is still able to hear their conversation, knowing that Superman is still defending her while Batman still doubts her. Superman keeps insisting that he believes she's from Krypton, but Wonder Woman points out that if she's as powerful as him, it's a secret someone will try to exploit. Superman realizes that she and Batman haven't told him everything on why they took her. Elsewhere, Kara and Harbinger land near the beach, and Kara tells them what is going on with the others. As far as Harbinger is concerned, with Kara's strength and abilities, she should become Supergirl. Kara isn't so sure, but Harbinger tells her that Diana is someone that she can trust. Kara thanks her, saying that she's the best friend she's had on the island. Kara suggests that they go for a swim to clear her head, and Harbinger says she'll follow. In truth, her orb is activating, and shows her a vision of Superman holding a dead girl. Back at the ring, Superman has been informed of another one of Harbinger's visions about Kara. Her presence will bring death and destruction. There aren't any specifics, but Wonder Woman has had the Amazons on alert since Kara arrived. All of a sudden, a boom tube opens up and ejects Doomsday. Superman tells the others to protect Kara while he handles the monster, but to their horror, a whole army of Doomsdays exit the tube. Wonder Woman orders the Amazons to attack and arms Batman. As the battle enrages, they notice that the Doomsdays have no blood or higher level of functions that Doomsday originally held. Batman concludes that Doomsday's DNA was too complex for apocalyptic scientists to clone, and what they were facing are Dr. Benlam's animates. Superman destroys the Doomsdays with a massive blast of heat vision, something which greatly drains him. He realizes that Batman is not there, and he and Wonder Woman fly off. Near the shores of Paradise Island, Batman has found the body of Harbinger's vision Lila herself. Having thought he heard another boom tube open when the Doomsdays appeared, Batman concluded that Doomsdays were a decoy to allow the female Furies to get in, kill Lila, and kidnap Kara. As Harbinger's orb activates again, it shows a vision of Kara at Darkseid's mercy. An enraged Superman vows to go straight to Apocalypse and take Kara back. And that was the synopsis for Superman Batman number 10. Andrew, what did you think of this book?
I'll tell you what, dude. I love this flippin' issue. This issue was awesome, and Jeff Loeb is just doing a phenomenal job with the writing chores on this. Michael Turner's art just continues to be awesome. I really love the way he draws every single one of his characters, especially Superman and Wonder Woman specifically. Really love the look of everything in this issue. How about you, buddy? What did you think?
Just like you, the very first thing I noticed from this book was the art. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. I mean, just from the very first page that you open up and you see the four main characters, you see Kara, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman on the same page, and the way they've been drawn and colored is probably one of the most beautiful pages that I've ever seen. It is just gorgeous to look at. I mean, especially the way Kara is drawn on Wonder Woman, they look gorgeous. I mean, the whole art is visually attractive, visually beautiful, and Michael Turner. I mean, what more can you say, right? The guy is such an amazing artist. For the story, I found it was not bad. I preferred the story, I think, from number 9 to number 10. Number 10 seemed to be very action-packed, obviously, with the Doomsdays attacking and stuff like that. One thing I really did take out of this book, which I found very interesting again, was just the difference between Superman and Batman and the way they kind of interact with each other and the way they're, as everything's kind of going on between, Kara fighting and everything else that's kind of happening in the background. They're still kind of having these little thought bubbles, and they're still kind of thinking to themselves, okay, this is what Clark or Superman's thinking, and this is what Batman's thinking, and just the way they have their differences like that is really, really impressive. And I mean, the one thing I really took out from this book, and I just kind of want to read it. It's on page 3. It's kind of like thought bubble that Batman thinks at the very bottom, and he states, "This is the single biggest difference between us. I will always do what is necessary. And Clark, even with all his powers and abilities, is not built that way. And I found that's a really interesting thing to say, meaning that Superman would not do what is necessary to save the day, or to do what is necessary for the greater good. And I know you are a huge Superman fan, so I just was kind of curious, what did you think about that statement?
Well, I think that's a very broad, sweeping statement by Batman. I mean, Batman's obviously mistrusting of everybody around him. I don't even think he trusts Clark fully. Even though they're friends, I don't think Bruce trusts anybody. So, except for maybe Tim and the whole Bat family. I mean, I know he trusts them because he has to. So, but I disagree with Batman's sentiments here. I think Superman would get the job done no matter what the stakes are. I mean, you can always trust Superman to get the job done no matter what. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if, I mean, I think Superman does, Superman, I think they trust each other, basically, for sure. I mean, they both know their secret identities, and they've been friends also for a long time, so I don't think it's a matter of trust. I thought it was just a very interesting statement, especially regarding such an iconic character like Superman, and through all the battles he's been through, and through everything he's done for the planet, for the universe, to kind of have a statement like that saying that he wouldn't do what is necessary. And, it could be just maybe just, because it's Kara and because, it's Kryptonian, his cousin, it's kind of maybe clouding his judgment perhaps, or something like that. I don't know. But I just thought it was, out of the whole book, that was a very interesting statement. That kind of something that just sort of stuck in the back of my mind through the whole book. But what do you think about the Doomsday characters? The Doomsday animates, or whatever you want to call them.
Oh, Lord. We had talked about earlier with the whole death and return of Superman's storyline being retraded. I really love that story. That story is the most iconic Superman story, in my opinion, and among other Superman fans' opinion. It's the best Superman story ever written. So, I hated Doomsday in this issue. This is not Doomsday to me. I get that he's a clone and that his higher level of function is there. I just wish Loeb hadn't chosen Doomsday. I wish he had chosen something else, whether it be, I don't know, parademons or something, to distract their attention from the Furies capturing Kara. I just don't buy this is Doomsday. I mean, Superman shouldn't be able to take Doomsday out with one sweeping arc of heat vision. I just didn't care for it. And the fact that Batman could flip and fight Doomsday with an axe is utterly ridiculous. I did not like that at all, period, dot. So...
No, I agree with you, but keep in mind they were animates, and they weren't the actual Doomsday character. I mean, one that can think and fight and has higher cognitive thinking and that sort of thing. These were just drones, is all they were. But I do agree to a certain point what you were saying, and he should, I think, chose a different character than Doomsday. I mean, it's almost like you're taking such an iconic villain in Doomsday who killed Superman and kind of like watered it down, basically. So, I do agree with you in one sense that was kind of not maybe the best idea, but it is what it is, and it's fine. But I do understand what you were saying for sure. What do you think about Wonder Woman's role in this story? I mean, basically training Kara on Paradise Island.
Well, before I get to that, I really want to talk about the relationship between Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in this issue. I really feel as a Superman, not only I sometimes feel like a Superman apologist, but a Superman ultra fan, I suppose you could say. The fact that both Batman and Wonder Woman plotted against Superman and not even let him in on this whole plan to take care of Paradise Island really kind of pisses me off. And Batman and Wonder Woman are really complete and utter jackasses for doing this. I don't like it, and to continue to see Batman's mistrust of Superman and his feelings towards Kara, it really rubs off on not only Diana, but this whole idea that Kara isn't trustable. I hate that. I don't like that at all. I get get that Batman's mistrusting, but it almost seems like Loeb is like taking it and warping it to an extreme, you know?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on that point, because I think the fact that Batman and Diana were kind of plotting against Superman, I think made sense with the story, because I mean Superman was so engulfed with this character of Kara and really wanted her to become, you know, his true cousin from Krypton. I mean, even like really, you know, showing her his identity and everything like that. And Batman can see where this was going, so it made sense to me why they would kind of plot behind him, and it does make sense from that point of view. And like I said, it does kind of go with the story. I mean, obviously, I'm not a big Superman fanboy like you are. I'll admit that, but I do understand with the story why they were doing that and why they had to do it. So I really have no problem at all with it. It goes with the story, it makes sense. So I really had no issues with that. I mean, that was one thing I think we talked about the last episode when we reviewed number 9, and I wasn't too sure if Batman was part of it because they even shot an arrow at him. So I wasn't too sure if Batman was part of this plot or not, but obviously he is now. So, but no, like I said, I don't mind it at all. And one other thing I noticed from this book too is, and I'm just going to kind of compare it a little bit to the animated movie Superman Batman Apocalypse, is how very identical they are. Actually, there's not really many differences between this story and this part of the movie. I mean, almost everything is relatively identical. So I thought that was very, very interesting as well too. They kind of stayed true to the comic book in the movie as well too. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah.
Do you think Kara's combat training is kind of ridiculous considering she is a Kryptonian?
I don't think so. I mean, I kind of compare it a lot to what was that TV show? But when Superboy was trained by Black Canary, I can't remember that TV show for the love of me now.
Young Justice.
Young Justice. Yeah, Young Justice. So when Superboy was trained by Black Canary, I mean, obviously Superboy, same idea, he's got all the powers in the world, but, you know, Diana can still take him down in a fight. You know, and I think this is kind of the same idea where Diana, even though Kara has all the power in the world, you know, she still needs to be able to harness it, and she still needs to be able to rely on herself and have the confidence in herself to be able to fight without having to rely necessarily on her powers. So I think that's what was the reasoning for it. So I have absolutely no problem with it at all. Definitely not. What about you?
I didn't have a huge problem with it, except that I really don't think that Kara needs combat training. I mean, she is a Kryptonian, however, but I get that she's very inexperienced and doesn't know how to handle her powers all that well. But you know, it is what it is. So I mean, don't get me wrong, people. I love this issue. There's just some things about it that kind of irked me a little. But what did you think of the friendship between Lila and Kara in this issue?
I thought it was pretty sweet. It's very endearing that, you know, at least Kara has one friend on this island that she can kind of go to and talk to, even though, you know, he has Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman kind of plotting her future. So, no, I really liked that. It was really, really endearing. I mean, to that effect, I really wish Kara was somewhat almost like the New 52 Supergirl. I kind of had a little more say in her future, had a little more independence, a little more backbone, I guess if you want to call it. But just kind of the way that she would kind of decide her own fate and not rely on these three telling her which way to go, almost like playing around like a puppet. I did have an issue with that, but I mean, obviously this is not the New 52 Supergirl. It's a little bit different than that, but you were saying about the combat training, and something just popped in my head, but it's really interesting how the New 52 Supergirl, you know, because she was going through her trials before she left Argo City, and she was pretty much almost combat trained to a certain extent, where this one is not, and she has to be trained from the very beginning. So I thought that was kind of interesting in kind of both caliber of Supergirls on their level of fighting ability and training and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Very good. Do you think it was necessary for Loeb to kill Harbinger in this issue?
I think so. I think it added a little bit of a suspense to it, almost to the story, because I mean, you knew Harbinger was seeing somebody was going to be killed. A blonde girl was basically in the water, dead. So you knew it was. You thought maybe it was going to be would have been Kara. It turned out to be Harbinger instead. I mean, whether it was necessary or not, probably not. But the same token, I mean, I don't know too much about Harbinger. I don't know how big of a character she was in the DCU at the time. I don't know if she was just like just a character. She would appear once in a while in a one-woman story, or she actually had a big role in it in the books or not. I don't know. But I mean, from my point of view, I mean, it didn't really phase in one way or another because I don't know too much about her. So, but what about you? What did you think of it?
I didn't have a huge problem with Harbinger dying. I was a little sad to see it happen, especially because I liked the friendship between Harbinger and Kara. And it was especially sad to see, especially since Kara and Lila said they were going to be friends for a good long time, and then boom, she's dead. So I mean, it was a little sad to see. It was kind of wish she had stuck around and really developed that friendship between her and Kara, but it is what it is.
And it's kind of interesting how Michael Turner even drew them both very similar as well too. The look of them, I mean, their face, their hair, and everything is very, very similar to each other. It's almost like drawing two Karas, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, on one of those panels, I think it was Superman holding Lila, that it looked like Superman was holding Kara. Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, I mean, he drew them very, very identical. I don't know if that was on purpose or maybe just go with the story to make it, like I said, look like it was actually Kara that died in Harbinger's sight or whatever you want, or her. God, my words are so bad today. It's not even funny. What she was seeing, basically. So, I don't know. But it was a good book, though. It's definitely a good book. Like I said, not maybe as good as the last book, but I still enjoyed this one, though. Even though. Indeed. And I really love the last panel of Superman just really... We get the red-eyed Superman all pissed off and ready to go after Darkseid. I really love that panel. Now, tell me how awesome this Superman is compared to the New 52 Superman. This one's so much better. Oh, my gosh, dude. This is Superman to me. You know, this Superman is not whiny. Not, he's just not awful. Yep. For sure. So, I mean, I would much rather read this Superman story than the New 52 Superman stories. I mean, this is just Superman to me. And I mean, we talked off air about this. I mean, this just, I'm not over. I mean, after reading Superman number 13, I've really lowered my opinion of the New 52. I mean, it wasn't high to begin with, but Superman number 13 really, really diminished my opinion of the New 52. Yeah, I hear you. I completely agree, but I'm really thinking that with the new book with Scott Steiner and Jim Lee coming on next year, I think that book will be amazing. Is it coming out next year, or is it coming next year? It is. Next year, yeah, 2013. It's supposed to be, I think, the first quarter sometime. It hasn't set a date for sure, or even a title for that matter. I mean, they were thinking maybe Man of Steel, but they're not too sure, so it was just a rumor. But we'll see. Well, I would either like Man of Steel or Adventures of Superman, just to throw it back to the 90s. I think that would be awesome. Personally, I would love to see another Superman-Batman partner book like this, like we have right now with this series. I would love to see that. It'd be nice to see, and I think they tried to attempt that with the World's Finest title that they've got right now. That title is right now, as far as I'm concerned, is an epic fail. But wow, I hear you. Well, I would say epic fail. It's a fail. It's not as good. It's a possible fail. if that's such exists, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's not as good as it could be. Definitely not. And we've talked about that a bunch of times on Supergirl's Finest podcast, but no, for sure. You're right about that. Well, do you have any more notes on this one, sir? I do think I do. No, I'm pretty much done with this book. And no, definitely looking forward to reading the next one. Well, I've read it before, but reviewing the next one for sure. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we've got a real-life superhero for you all. So stay tuned.
Hello, boys and girls. It's your dear old Uncle Joker. We've got an internet access here in Arkham, so I'm doing a little browsing. Lolcats, porn, lolcats. What's this? Bailey's Batman Podcast? A bi-weekly podcast devoted to everything Dark Knight Detective? Well, Michael Bailey, where's Bailey's Joker Podcast, eh? We'll see about that. Harley, get our things. We're going to Georgia.
Hey everyone, Michael Bailey here, asking you to check out my bi-weekly internet radio show, Bailey's Batman Podcast. Or at least I'm asking you to check it out while you still can, until the Joker shows up on my doorstep. Bailey's Batman Podcast is a hodgepodge type show where I discuss all aspects of the Dark Knight's history. Comics, movies, animation, even trading cards and action figures. Everything Batman related is fair game, and yes, that does include the villains, which includes the Joker. So he won't kill me. New episodes drop every other Tuesday over at www.baileysbatmanpodcast.com. The site also has links to the iTunes page, the RSS feed, my Twitter handle if you're into the social media thing, and the Bailey's Batman Podcast Facebook page. Bailey's Batman Podcast is a proud member of the Batman Podcast Connection, which you can find at batmanpodcastconnection.wordpress.com. I really hope that's the UPS guy. Why can't I have Batman in my basement?
And welcome back, everybody. Danny, this next segment, we are about to celebrate the triumph of the human spirit over all manners of adversity, and we call this our real-life superhero. St. Louis, Missouri. Police in St. Louis say a pub owner scared off armed robbers by swatting at them with a broom. St. Louis police said that the husband and wife owners of O'Malley's Irish Pub called 911 about 2 a.m. Tuesday and reported 2 or 3 men had approached the husband while he was sweeping the sidewalk after closing the pub and brandished a firearm. KSDK-TV St. Louis reported. The man said he struck the robbers repeatedly with the broom, and they fired several shots while fleeing. No one was struck by the shots. Police said they were searching for the suspects. This pub owner's the man, dude.
That is awesome. You know what? It would be even better is after he swatted them with his broom and they all ran away, he stood there with his broom in hand, put it on the ground, and said, "That's taking out the trash." That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, that would have been ultimate.
Just have like a cool catchphrase. That's what you really need. You know, like it's one thing to be a real life superhero, but you need to have the catchphrase. I think so would kind of elevate you to like superhero status.
What would you call this guy? Would you call him Ultimate Broom Man or something?
Ultimate Broom Man. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, Ultimate Broom Man. Special abilities has brooms coming out of his arms or something like that. Cleaning up the city.
No, but seriously, who thinks? I mean, you got a gun pointed at you for one. You got a broom in your hand. It's like, I would seriously drop the broom and raise my hand and say, "What do you want?"
Yeah, but don't forget, this is Broom Man we're talking about.
That's true.
It's not just some regular shop owner or whatever. This is Broom Man. All right, he takes out and he has a broom in his hand. I mean, that's like almost like a machete. You know what I mean? Like you can't stop that guy, and he just definitely. I mean, I would never want to take Broom Man on a fight, never. So no, I'm good for him.
That's crazy, man. Well, we salute you, Mr. Ultimate Broom Man.
Absolutely.
You are this month's real life superhero. Awesome.
He's my real life hero.
Awesome. That is phenomenal. That is great. Oh goodness. Well, guys, I think after that awesome segment, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to do some feedback and shout outs, and we're going to wrap up this one. Stay tuned.
On May 30th, 2011, DC Comics announced the historic renumbering of all their superhero titles, and the internet broke in half.
No. It's not true. That's impossible.
Critics and naysayers abounded. Confusion reigned across fandom.
What'll I do? What'll I do? What an unusual view.
Not to mention the first reactions to the Supergirl costume.
I hated her so much. It flames on the side of my face, heaving breaths.
But then the books actually hit. And opinions...
He likes it.
Opinions began to change. The New 52 Adventures of Superman is a monthly podcast where John Wilson,
J. David Weeder,
and
Michael Kaiser
take a look at each of the adventures of Superman and his family of characters in Action Comics.
You know the deal, Metropolis. Treat people right, or expect a visit from me.
The Superman who appeared 6 months ago could hurdle skyscrapers and toss trucks around. Now it's faster, now it's stronger. How soon before it can't be stopped?
Superboy.
If resolving a situation for him is going to get me out from under these people once and for all, that's a small price to pay for freedom.
Release the Superboy.
Supergirl.
Okay. Giant metal creatures. Falling from the sky. Speaking in clicks and beeps. Father would love this dream.
And Superman.
You could do so much good. We could do so much good.
I am doing good, Lois.
Clark's such a loner. Never really lets anyone get close to him.
The New 52 Adventures of Superman. Available the first of every month on iTunes and at new52superman.libsyn.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Before we wrap up the show, Danny, I just want to really give a big shout out to our good friend Stephen Vaughn. You know, he left us some pretty awesome feedback for really both Danny and myself via Twitter, and I wanted to read those tweets. Listening to the new direction of hashtag KLD and at Kral Podcast, Supergirl fandom at its finest. Hashtag Earth2, hashtag Power Girl. I'm assuming that's when I released Power Girl Episode 1. Mm-hmm. And the second tweet is at Kral at KLD Podcast. The pods are both great, and the co-hosting format has seemed to rejuvenate you both. The site is great as well. And you know what, Stephen? I thanked you on Twitter, but I want to thank you again, man, for the feedback. That's just awesome to me. So
absolutely, for sure.
You know.
Yep. Thank you, Stephen.
I mean, we don't get much feedback, which I'm kind of sad about. So I would just encourage you again to tweet us. We will respond to your tweets, and we will read we'll read any ats. I know Danny gets a lot of them, but I will read the ones specifically directed towards me on KLD, as well as any emails you send. I have not received any emails recently, so please email supergirlpodcast@gmail.com. So
absolutely, and thank you everybody for all the fan mail that I get. It's awesome.
Yeah, whatever. I don't get fan mail, but Danny does. What the crap's up with that, people?
Makes sense.
We need to change that. And you get...
No, it's fine. It makes sense to me. In a perfect universe, it completely makes sense.
I see. Well, I think that's going to do it for us, dude. It's been a great episode. It's been a lot of fun.
Totally.
So, next time we're going to be looking at Action Comics 255, most likely. I haven't looked at my trade, but I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be covering, as well as Superman Batman number 11. So, be on the lookout for that next time. So, until then, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Danny.
We'll talk to you later, okay?
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
You have been listening to Krypton's Last Daughter, a Supergirl podcast, hosted by me, Andrew Pinkham. Supergirl, as well as all other characters I talk about on the show, as well as any music I use, are copyright their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. The website for this show is supergirlpodcast.wordpress.com, where you will find the RSS feed, the podcast, the iTunes link, and a whole lot more. The email is supergirlpodcast@gmail.com. And let's face it, guys, I love lots of emails, so don't be afraid to write in, alright? You can also like the Facebook page. Just type Krypton's Last Daughter into Facebook, or check out the website for more details. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at KLD Podcast. And if you would, as a huge favor to me, and leave an iTunes review, I would really appreciate it. And I'd give you a shout out on the show. That's a personal guarantee from me. The opening theme, The Rule, as well as other original music, is written and produced by Kevin McLeod. Supergirl is created by Otto and now Plastino. Thank you for listening, and come back every month for Krypton's Last Daughter, a Supergirl podcast.
To be honest, I'm not sure I've earned the right to wear this uniform, but I will.